might have a great couple weeks and then they lose to somebody, and then Miami has a couple weeks and they lose. Pitt, same thing. So Florida State, same way. Struggling with some of these FCS teams early in the season is embarrassing, but at the end of the day, if we could get another team to have 9-10 wins, we'll be in better shape as a conference.
See, people forget a couple of years ago it was the SEC maybe that people thought was down a lot.
Yeah.
And it was because of quarterback play. Now the ACC is down. There's not a lot of premier quarterbacks, a lot of musical chairs. Do you think that is maybe one big issue?
Surprisingly, I think this is going to be one of the better conferences with quarterbacks, though. You look at Louisville quarterback, Mikael Cunningham. You look at Trevor, obviously, he'll be back next year. James Blackman, I think, is going to make a push. We're going to lose Bryce Perkins, but he's moving on. Jaron Williams can pick things up. It's a lot of good quarterback play. Sam Howell is an all-star. I think he's going to be really good in the next couple of years. So as far as quarterback play, I think that as a conference, it's all going to get more competitive. It's going to get cleaner. It's not going to be as many bonehead mistakes from the quarterback position. One of those like head-scratcher type ideas. So I think it's going to get better. A lot of these guys are young. They're freshmen, they're sophomores. Sam is a true freshman. So just considering how well he's played this year, I think says a lot about Coach Mack Brown and that coaching staff. So I think this conference is in good shape as far as quarterbacks.
What do you think about tomorrow night's matchup between Virginia's quarterback Perkins and Clemson's defensive coordinator Venables?
Yeah, I think you give Coach Venables. I'm sure he probably started watching tape on UVA 2 or 3 weeks ago, trying to key in on how he can stop Bryce. And I don't think you can stop him. I think you just try to contain him. I think one of the things Virginia Tech didn't do on defense was stop him on the run. And that's kind of what gets that momentum going for that UVA team. I think when UVA sees Bryce come into the locker room, they all get excited. He's that kind of guy for that team. And but I do know Coach Venables is a great coach. He has the talent. He has the guys on defense that are smart enough, unselfish enough to play team football, complementary football, and not try to make the big play and give something else up in exchange. So I think they'll be fine.
You getting a little anxious for Florida State to make a hire?
Not really. I think you take your time in these situations. I'm not going to be the one to say, hey, who's going to be, like, rush them, because this is one of those decisions that has to work. You fire Coach Taggart, and if you don't get it right, it's going to be a lot of upset fans, a lot of upset people and players. So take your time. I hope that they're doing their due diligence and making sure they're making the right choice.
I feel like Florida State needs to be good for the ACC to be good.
Of course. They need to be good for the country. At the end of the day, when you turn on the TV, you watch college football, you think of Florida State, you think of Florida, Miami, obviously now Clemson. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you didn't really think of Clemson like that, but it's good that they're our leader right now. But, when you think of college football, you think of those types of programs. And I think they'll get back. At the end of the day, we weren't great when I first got there, but Jimbo had the infrastructure, got in enough good players, and we were able to turn things around. So, college football is in waves. It's just all about recruiting and who you can bring in as talent.
When you look at tomorrow night's game, what would you do if you had a guy like Isaiah Simmons you had a scheme for every week?
I'd keep an eye on him every play. I'd point out wherever number 11 is and make sure my offensive line, my running backs know where that guy is, because he can play coverage, he can rush you as a passer. He's a guy that I think with him on the field, he infects the game. He kind of throws a monkey wrench in your offensive game plan. So I'm sure that they're keying in on him and making sure that they have somebody at least blocking him every single play.
You mentioned Clemson potentially using a spy. Would Simmons be someone you think would fill that role?
I think so. Either him or maybe a defensive end, or maybe you bring down Tanner Muse, the safety, and try to get him to spy a little bit. Maybe he plays a little bit of linebacker. You bring in an extra corner or something like that to play his position at safety. But I think you have to, because Bryce, if he gets loose, he can change the game with his legs, and not just his legs, but also his arm. So I think the biggest thing is trying to limit him to his carries.
People don't realize that Virginia's a pass-first team that sets up the run. Is that something you've seen from them all season as well?
Well, they have to, because they don't really have a running. They have running backs, but I haven't really seen the running backs be the guy that has 80 to 100 yards in a game. A lot of that rushing comes from Bryce, and so naturally they will pass the ball, and they have really good receivers. Terrell Jana, Joe Reed. They have some guys that are very effective. They have a really good tight end too, and Bryce can throw. He's a guy that is very capable with his arm. We talk about his feet, but he can also beat you with his arm too, and he's very smart. So it's not going to be easy for Clemson. I don't think anybody's expecting them to just come out here and roll. But you look at what Clemson has offensively and defensively, it kind of goes in their favor.
Anything else for you?